There's a particular kind of quiet that settles into someone's life when they've finally stopped running from the truth. Not the comfortable quiet of peace, but the uncomfortable quiet of realization, when every distraction falls away and they're left alone with the weight of what they've lost. And if you're watching this right now, I want you to know something. The person who walked away from you, the one who broke what you built together, who shattered your trust and left you to pick up the pieces alone, they're sitting in that quiet right now, and it's changing them. This isn't about fantasy or wishful thinking. This is about something very real that's happening in someone's inner world at this exact moment. While you've been healing, rebuilding, learning to trust yourself again, they've been on a journey of their own, one they never anticipated. And here's what I need you to understand before we go any further. Their return isn't about your waiting. It's not a reward for staying loyal or proof that you were right to hold on. This is about someone who had to lose the real thing to finally understand what real love actually means. If this is landing for you already, just drop a heart emoji in the comments. Let me know you're here. You see, some people have to experience the absence of something precious before they can recognize its value. They have to feel what it's like to reach for someone who's no longer there. They have to live with the consequences of their choices, taste the bitterness of their own damage, walk through days and weeks and months, knowing they destroyed something they can't recreate with anyone else. And that's exactly what's been happening. I know you've been through your own process. I know there were nights you thought you'd never recover, mornings you woke up and forgot for just a second before the pain came flooding back. I know you've questioned everything, your worth, your judgment, whether you could have done something different. But while you were doing that hard, necessary work of healing, something else was happening in parallel. The person who broke you was beginning to break open. Let me tell you what's been unfolding in their world, because this matters. This isn't about them realizing they miss you or that they made a mistake in some casual surface way. This is about a fundamental shift in their understanding of love itself. Losing you became the teacher they never knew they needed. And the lessons have been brutal. At first, they probably convinced themselves they were fine, maybe even better. Freedom, space, new possibilities. They might have told themselves the story that they needed to leave, that the relationship was the problem, that starting fresh somewhere else would solve whatever restlessness lived inside them. And maybe for a little while, that story held up. But stories built on running eventually crumble. And when theirs did, they came face to face with a truth they weren't prepared for. They lost someone who loved them with full hands and an open heart. They lost someone who saw them completely and chose them anyway. They lost the one person who was building something real while they were chasing something temporary. And now they know it. Super Thanks helps me dedicate time to creating these deep, specific messages for you. If this is speaking to your situation, I'm grateful for any support. Here's what makes this different from simple regret or nostalgia. They're not just missing the relationship. They're recognizing what you brought to their life that nobody else has been able to replicate. The way you loved them, taught them what love could be. And everything since has fallen short. Not because other people aren't wonderful, but because those connections aren't built on what you two built. They don't have the history, the depth, the specific magic that exists only between two particular souls who chose each other. This isn't about ego or validation. This is about witnessing a transformation that happens when someone finally becomes ready for what you were offering all along. They're coming back, yes, but they're not coming back as the person who left. They're coming back as someone who has been fundamentally changed by your absence. Someone who has learned, in the hardest way possible, what real love means. And I need you to stay with me through this entire message, because what I'm about to walk you through isn't simple. This situation is layered with complexity, with emotion, with questions about worthiness and trust, and whether someone who broke you can ever truly heal what they damaged. We're going to explore all of it. What's happening in their inner world, what this means for you, and most importantly, how to navigate what's coming with wisdom and clarity. Drop one word in the comments that describes where you are in this journey right now. Just one word, whatever comes to mind. This is going to take time to unpack properly, and I'm going to give you the full depth this deserves. Because you're not here by accident. The fact that you clicked on this video, that this title spoke to something in your spirit, tells me you're sensing this shift too. Something is moving, something is changing, and you need to understand what's really happening so you can respond from your highest wisdom, not your deepest wound. Let's begin. First, I want you to understand the landscape of their awakening. Because what's happening inside them isn't a sudden realization or a simple "I miss them" moment. It's been a progressive unraveling, a slow-building awareness that started the moment they stopped being able to avoid themselves. Picture someone moving through their routine. Maybe they're at work, focused on a project, or they're out with friends, laughing at something, or they're alone at home, scrolling mindlessly through their phone. And then something happens. A song plays that you used to love. They see someone who moves like you. They smell a fragrance that reminds them of your presence. Or sometimes it's nothing external at all, just a sudden, inexplicable wave of your absence washing over them. And in that moment, their chest constricts. Not dramatically, not like in movies, just a quiet tightening, a sensation of something vital missing. They try to shake it off. They try to redirect their attention. But it keeps happening. These moments of involuntary remembering, of unwanted feeling, of recognition that something essential is gone. At first, they might have misinterpreted these feelings as normal post-breakup adjustment. Everyone misses their ex sometimes, right? Everyone has moments of nostalgia. But as weeks turned into months, as they tried to connect with other people, as they attempted to recreate what they had with you, they began to realize this wasn't nostalgia. This was loss. Real, profound, irreplaceable loss. Here's what they started noticing. Nobody else responds to them the way you did. Nobody else understands their humor with the same timing. Nobody else knows the small things. How they like their morning, what silence means versus what quiet means, the specific look that crosses their face when they're overwhelmed but won't say it. These seem like small details, but they're everything. They're the difference between companionship and partnership, between someone filling space and someone completing it. They've tried, consciously or unconsciously, to find someone who makes them feel the way you did, and every attempt has fallen flat. Not because the other people weren't wonderful humans, but because they aren't you. They don't carry your specific combination of strength and softness, challenge and comfort, passion and peace. The connection doesn't run as deep because it wasn't built over time, through conflict and resolution, through seeing each other's shadows and choosing to stay. If you're recognizing this pattern, if you've sensed them struggling, to move on, type "I see it" in the comments, but beyond the surface level missing you, something more profound has been happening. They've been confronting their own patterns. Why did they leave? What were they running from? What fear or wound or limitation made them choose destruction over devotion? And in that confrontation, they've had to face some uncomfortable truths about themselves. Maybe they were terrified of the depth you offered. Maybe they were afraid of being truly known, truly vulnerable, truly committed. Maybe they had unhealed trauma that made them sabotage good things. Maybe they confused intensity with passion and mistook peace for boredom. Maybe they were chasing validation from external sources because they didn't have it internally. Whatever their specific pattern, losing you has forced them to see it. And here's the crucial part. They're seeing how that pattern cost them everything. They're connecting the dots between their choices and their consequences. They're understanding, maybe for the first time, that running doesn't solve anything. It just postpones the reckoning. And the reckoning has arrived. This is what I mean when I say losing you taught them what real love means. They had it. They were living inside real love, the kind that's steady and honest and committed to growth, the kind that doesn't run when things get uncomfortable, the kind that chooses you on the hard days, not just the easy ones. They had someone who was willing to build something lasting, and they treated it like it was temporary. They had gold and thought it was just shiny rock. Now they know the difference. And they've experienced enough counterfeits to recognize the real thing. Now they understand what they lost because they've felt the emptiness where you used to be. Let me be clear about something important. This isn't about them deserving you back or earning a second chance. That's a separate question entirely, and it's one only you can answer, based on your boundaries, your healing, your wisdom. What I'm describing to you right now is simply, what is the transformation that's occurring in someone who lost you and is finally understanding why that loss is significant. They're experiencing what therapists call a differentiation, the ability to see you as a separate person with your own inherent value, not just as someone who fills a role in their life. When they were with you, they may have taken you for granted, seen you through the lens of their own needs and fears. But distance has given them perspective. They can see you clearly now, your strength, your capacity for love, your willingness to show up authentically. And they can see what it meant to be loved by you. Keep watching, because what's coming next will help you understand why this transformation matters and what it means for your situation specifically. There's also a spiritual dimension to this that I can't ignore. Some souls agree before they ever meet to teach each other specific lessons. Sometimes the lesson is about recognizing love when you have it. Sometimes it's about understanding your worth so deeply that you never settle for less again. Sometimes it's about giving someone the space to grow into who they need to become, even if that growth happens through separation. What I'm sensing is that this person needed to lose you to wake up. They needed the consequence of their choices to become their teacher. They needed to feel what it's like to live without your love so they could understand what it meant to live with it. And now that teaching has taken root, the awakening has happened. The transformation is underway, but transformation doesn't mean automatic reconciliation. It doesn't mean you have to accept their return. It doesn't mean the broken pieces can simply be glued back together like nothing happened. What it means is that if they do come back, and they are coming back, they'll be coming as someone different, someone who has been humbled by loss, someone who has learned what they couldn't learn any other way, and you need to be prepared for that. You need to know what to look for, what questions to ask, what standards to hold, because your healing has been too hard one to risk on someone who's only temporarily inspired by missing you. If there's going to be any path forward, it has to be built on genuine transformation, not just regret or loneliness or fear of being alone. Let's go deeper into what this transformation actually looks like, because I want you to be able to recognize it when you see it. I want you to have discernment, not just hope. I want you to understand the difference between someone who misses you and someone who has genuinely changed. The first sign of real transformation is accountability. Someone who has truly learned from losing you doesn't make excuses. They don't blame circumstances or timing or your reactions to their behavior. They don't diminish what they did or explain it away with stress or confusion. They own it completely. They can articulate exactly how their choices hurt you, exactly what they destroyed, exactly why their actions were wrong. Not in a performative way, not to manipulate you into forgiveness, but because they've done the internal work of facing themselves honestly. When someone sits with true accountability, something shifts in their presence. There's a sobriety to them, a groundedness that wasn't there before. They're not defending themselves or managing your perception of them. They're simply acknowledging reality. I broke your trust. I damaged what we built. I chose fear over love. I hurt someone who deserved better. That kind of clear-eyed recognition can only come from someone who has stopped running from the truth. The second sign is sustained change, not just temporary improvement. Anyone can be on their best behavior for a few weeks or months, especially if they're motivated by wanting you back. But real transformation shows up in patterns over time. Have they addressed the core issues that led to the breakdown? If they left because they couldn't handle emotional intimacy, have they been in therapy working on that? If they betrayed you, have they examined why they made choices that violated your trust? If they were selfish or dismissive, have they developed actual empathy and the ability to consider your needs? You'll know because their changes won't be performative. They won't be telling you constantly how much they've changed or listing all the work they've done. Instead, you'll see it in how they interact with others, how they handle stress, how they respond when they're triggered. The growth will be embedded in who they are now, not something they put on when you're watching. If you're starting to see how to discern real change from temporary regret, drop clarity in the comments. The third sign is understanding what they lost specifically, not just generically. Someone who has genuinely learned from losing you can articulate what made you irreplaceable. Not just you were good to me or we had something special, but actual specifics. The way you handled conflict with maturity. The way you loved them even when they were difficult. The way you balanced strength with gentleness. The particular brand of magic that was uniquely yours. Uniquely you two together. When someone can name what they lost with precision, it means they've spent time reflecting on who you actually are, not just how you made them feel. It means they see you as a whole person, not just as the solution to their loneliness. This specificity matters because it indicates genuine appreciation, not just desperate nostalgia. The fourth sign is respect for your healing journey. Someone who has truly grown doesn't show up expecting immediate forgiveness or automatic reconciliation. They understand that they broke something sacred, and broken things don't heal on anyone else's timeline. They give you space. They respect your boundaries. They don't pressure you or guilt you or make their pain your responsibility to manage. If they come back with patience, with humility, with genuine willingness to let you determine the pace and terms of any potential reconnection, that tells you something. It tells you they've learned that love isn't about what they can take from you. It's about what they can offer, what they can honor, what they can protect. Now, let's talk about what's been happening on the spiritual plane, because this matters too. There's a divine orchestration to this entire situation that goes beyond either person's individual choices. Sometimes two people need to separate so they can each become who they're meant to be. Sometimes the relationship itself needs to die so it can be reborn on healthier foundation. Sometimes love has to be tested by absence before it can be trusted in presence. If this person is coming back, it's not just because they've changed, it's because you've changed too. Think about who you were when they left versus who you are now. You've done your own hard work. You've rebuilt your sense of self. You've learned to find security within yourself instead of seeking it from another person. You've developed boundaries and standards you didn't have before. You've clarified what you will and won't accept in love. This growth matters because it means if there is reconciliation, it won't be a return to what was. It will be the creation of something entirely new, built by two people who are different than they were, who know more than they knew, who value what they almost lost. We're building to something important here. Stay with me, because the next section will shift how you see this entire situation. But I want to address something that might be stirring in you right now, the question of whether you even want them back. Because here's what happens during the healing process. You start to imagine your future without them. You start to feel okay alone. You start to realize that you can survive, even thrive, without the person you thought you couldn't live without. And when that realization lands, when you feel your own power and wholeness, the idea of them returning becomes complicated. This is healthy. This is good. This is what's supposed to happen. You're not supposed to be frozen in waiting, living your life on pause until they figure themselves out. You're supposed to rebuild, to grow, to open up to new possibilities. And if in that process you discover that you don't want them back, that's a valid choice. The fact that someone has transformed doesn't obligate you to give them access to you again. What I'm offering you in this message isn't a prescription for what you should do. It's a description of what's happening so you can make informed choices. Knowledge is power, and understanding what's occurring in their inner world gives you the information you need to decide what you want for your outer world. Some of you watching this will feel a stirring of hope, some recognition that yes, you do want another chance with this person if they've genuinely changed. That's okay. Hope doesn't make you weak or desperate. It makes you human. And if you choose to explore reconciliation from a place of empowerment rather than desperation, that's your wisdom to follow. Others of you will feel certainty that this chapter is closed, that no matter how much they've changed, you've moved forward and you're not interested in moving backward, even if backward is dressed up as something new. That's okay too. Honoring your own evolution sometimes means releasing people who were part of your past, no matter how transformed they've become. And some of you are somewhere in the middle, uncertain, conflicted, needing more information before you can know what's right. That's also perfectly valid. You don't have to have all the answers right now. You can be present with the complexity, with the both and of feeling multiple things simultaneously. Super Thanks allows me to keep creating content that holds space for all these different experiences and perspectives. If this resonates, I'm grateful for your support. What matters most is that whatever you choose comes from your highest wisdom, not your deepest wound. That means taking time. That means getting clear on what you actually want, not what you think you're supposed to want. That means having honest conversations with yourself about whether this person has earned the privilege of your presence again, or whether your growth has taken you in a different direction. Here's something I want you to really let sink in. You are not the same person they left. The you that existed in that relationship, the you that loved them before, the you that experienced that betrayal or abandonment or heartbreak, that version of you has been alchemized by pain into someone stronger, wiser, more discerning. You've been through fire, and fire doesn't weaken gold. It purifies it, so if they come back, they're not coming back to who you were. They're coming back to who you've become, and who you've become doesn't need them the way the old you did. Who you've become knows your worth. Who you've become understands that love should enhance your life, not complete it. Who you've become won't settle for less than full honoring, full respect, full devotion. This is your power. This is what their absence gave you. Not just healing from them, but healing into yourself. And that healing means you get to choose from a place of fullness, not emptiness. You get to decide if there's space in your life for their return, and what that space looks like, and what the terms are. Nobody can make this decision for you. Not me, not your friends, not your family, not even the spiritual signs you might be receiving. This is between you and your own soul. This is about listening to the deepest truth inside you, beneath the hope and beneath the hurt, and honoring whatever that truth reveals. Now, I want to illuminate what's really happening at the soul level. Because there's a dimension to this situation that goes beyond the psychological and emotional. There's a spiritual curriculum at play here, and understanding it will help you navigate what's coming with grace and wisdom. Every significant relationship in your life is a teacher. Some teach you about joy, about expansion, about possibility. Others teach you about boundaries, about self-worth, about what you will no longer tolerate. This person, whether they return and stay or return and leave again or never return at all, has been one of your most important teachers. And the lesson hasn't been finished yet. Here's what I'm sensing about the deeper purpose of this separation and potential reunion. You both needed to learn who you are outside of each other. When two people are deeply connected, especially if that connection formed during a time when one or both were still developing their sense of self, there can be a merging that becomes problematic. You start to define yourself through the relationship. Your identity becomes entangled with theirs. Your decisions are made based on us before they're made based on me. This isn't always bad, but it becomes limiting when it prevents either person from fully actualizing their individual potential. Some relationships need to break apart so both people can break open, so you can discover who you are when you're not defining yourself through another person's eyes, when you're not compromising your truth to maintain connection, when you're not shrinking or expanding yourself to fit someone else's needs. The separation forced you into that discovery. You had to learn to sit with yourself, to befriend your own company, to find wholeness without external validation. You had to confront your codependency, or your anxious attachment, or your fear of abandonment, whatever pattern was operating beneath the surface. You had to become complete on your own, and they had to do the same work, though perhaps through a different curriculum. They had to face their avoidance, their fear of intimacy, their inability to sustain commitment. They had to feel what it's like to be alone with their choices, to live with consequences, to recognize what they lost. They had to grow beyond whatever limitation made them choose to leave in the first place. If this spiritual perspective is landing for you, just comment truth. Let me know this resonates. Here's where it gets profound. If you both do your individual work, if you both become whole within yourselves, then a reunion isn't about filling each other's emptiness. It's about two complete people choosing to share their fullness. It's about partnership as enhancement rather than completion. It's about love as choice rather than need. This is the highest form of relationship, and it's what's possible when two people have been broken apart and remade individually before coming back together. The reconnection isn't a return to what was. It's the creation of something entirely new, built on the foundation of two people who have learned to love themselves first. But, and this is crucial, this work doesn't guarantee reconciliation. Sometimes the highest outcome is two people who grow into their fullness and realize they're meant to walk separate paths. Sometimes the gift of the relationship was the catalyst for individual growth, and once that growth happens, the relationship has fulfilled its purpose. Sometimes love is real and deep and genuine, and still not meant to be forever. You need to hold both possibilities. The possibility that this transformation in both of you creates space for a healthier reunion, and the possibility that this transformation leads you each toward different futures. Both outcomes can be right. Both can be part of the divine plan. Both can be exactly what your soul needs for its evolution. What determines which path is right isn't just about whether they've changed or whether you still love them. It's about alignment. It's about whether your paths are meant to merge again or whether they've been running parallel so you could learn the same lessons separately before diverging permanently. It's about whether the energy between you still serves your highest good or whether honoring your growth means releasing them with love. Here's how you'll know. When they return, notice how you feel in your body. Not the initial rush of emotion or nostalgia or pain, but underneath that, what does your nervous system tell you? Do you feel expansive or constrained? Do you feel excited or anxious? Do you feel like you're moving toward your future or back toward your past? Your body holds wisdom your mind hasn't caught up to yet. If being around them again makes you feel small, hypervigilant, like you're walking on eggshells, or managing their emotions, or abandoning yourself to maintain peace, that's information. That's your intuition telling you that even if they've changed, this connection doesn't serve your highest evolution. But if being around them makes you feel seen, safe, celebrated, like you can be fully yourself without diminishment, if there's ease alongside the intensity, groundedness alongside the passion, that's information too. That's your intuition telling you there might be something here worth exploring. This next part is essential. Don't go anywhere, because what I'm about to share will give you the framework for making this decision with clarity. There's also the question of divine timing. Sometimes people are meant to reconnect, but not yet. Sometimes more growth needs to happen. Sometimes the transformation is real but not complete. Sometimes the universe is saying not no, but not now. If you feel that's the case, trust it. Premature reconciliation can undo the progress both people have made. It can recreate old patterns because the neural pathways for those patterns still exist. Real lasting change takes time to solidify, so if they come back and you're not ready, that's okay. If they come back and you need space to discern whether this is right, that's okay. If they come back and you need to see sustained evidence of change over months, not weeks, that's okay. You're not playing games or being difficult. You're being wise. You're protecting what you've built within yourself. You're honoring the fact that your healing has been hard-won, and you're not going to risk it lightly. True love, the kind that's worth building a life on, can handle boundaries. It can handle uncertainty. It can handle "I need time." If someone has genuinely transformed, they'll respect your process. They'll understand that their timeline for redemption isn't your timeline for trust. They'll prove their change through patience, not pressure. And here's what I want you to understand about their journey specifically. Losing you cracked them open in a way nothing else could. For some people, pain is the only teacher that breaks through their defenses. Comfort keeps them asleep, but loss wakes them up. They had to feel the full weight of what they destroyed to recognize what they had. This doesn't make the pain they caused acceptable. It doesn't excuse their choices. But it does mean that something sacred can come from suffering, the birth of awareness, the death of harmful patterns, the emergence of a more conscious version of someone who was operating unconsciously before. They're carrying something now they weren't carrying before, the knowledge of their own capacity to harm someone they love. That knowledge, when truly integrated, creates humility. It creates carefulness. It creates reverence for the fragility of trust and the preciousness of someone's heart. If they've really learned, they'll handle you differently this time. They'll move with intention instead of impulsiveness. They'll protect what you're building instead of taking it for granted. But again, and I can't emphasize this enough, their transformation doesn't obligate your participation. You can witness their growth, acknowledge their change, even celebrate their evolution, and still choose not to give them access to your life again. Growth is beautiful, but it doesn't erase history. Change is real, but it doesn't guarantee compatibility. Transformation matters, but so do your boundaries. If you've made it this far, and this is speaking to something deep in your spirit, consider super thanks. It helps me continue creating these specific, nuanced messages for situations exactly like yours. What I'm ultimately pointing you toward is this: the power is yours. You're not a passive participant in this story. You're not just sitting around waiting for them to decide if they want you back. You get to decide if you want them back. You get to set the terms. You get to determine what proof of change looks like. You get to establish what kind of relationship, if any, you're available for. This is what it means to love yourself well. To make choices from your center, not from your wound. To honor both your capacity for forgiveness and your right to boundaries. To hold space for complexity, for multiple truths existing simultaneously, for the possibility that you can love someone and still choose not to be with them. So let's get practical. Let's talk about how to actually navigate this situation with wisdom and self-preservation. Because understanding what's happening is one thing, knowing how to respond is another. Principle 1. Create space for discernment. If this person reaches out, resist the urge to respond immediately from emotion. Whether that emotion is anger or hope or pain or excitement, don't let it dictate your response. Instead, take time. Tell them you need space to process. Give yourself permission to feel everything that comes up without having to act on it right away. During this space, journal, pray. Talk to trusted friends who have your highest good in mind. Ask yourself hard questions. What do I actually want here? Am I responding from wholeness or from wound? Am I considering reconciliation because I genuinely believe it serves my growth, or because I'm afraid to be alone? Am I confusing familiarity with rightness? The answers to these questions won't come immediately, and that's okay. Sit with the uncertainty. Let clarity emerge naturally, instead of forcing a decision before you're ready. Someone who has genuinely changed will respect your need for time. Someone who's just desperate for resolution will push you for immediate answers. Pay attention to which one they demonstrate. Principle 2. Trust patterns, not promises. When they tell you they've changed, believe their actions over their words. Anyone can say the right things, especially if they've been thinking about what they'd say when this moment came. But actions reveal truth that words can conceal. Watch how they handle your boundaries. Watch how they respond when you're not immediately warm or welcoming. Watch what they do when things get uncomfortable or when you ask hard questions. Watch how they treat others, not just how they treat you in this reconciliation phase. Watch over time, not just in isolated moments. Real change shows up in patterns. It's consistent. It doesn't disappear under stress or when they've secured you again. It's integrated into who they are, not performed to win you back. Give yourself enough time to observe whether their transformation is genuine or whether it's a temporary adaptation that will fade once they feel safe again. Principle 3. Name your non-negotiables before you engage in any serious conversation about potential reconciliation. Get clear on your absolute requirements. What would need to be different for you to consider this? What boundaries are essential? What demonstrations of change are necessary? What healing needs to happen before you could even begin to rebuild trust? Write these down. Make them concrete. Don't make them designed to punish or test them. Make them genuine expressions of what you need to feel safe and honored. These might include consistent therapy attendance, transparency about their healing process, accountability measures, agreements about communication, whatever feels necessary for your well-being. Then communicate these clearly. Not as ultimatums or threats, but as honest statements of what you need. If we're going to explore reconnection, I need X, Y, and Z. Someone who's serious about redemption will work to meet you. Someone who just wants things to go back to how they were will resist or minimize your needs. If these principles are helping you think through how to approach this, type framework in the comments. Principle 4. Honor your ambivalence. You don't have to have all your feelings figured out. You can love them and be angry at them simultaneously. You can hope for reconciliation and be terrified of being hurt again. You can see their growth and still not trust it yet. You can want to believe them and need them to prove themselves. All of these contradictions can coexist. Don't let anyone, including yourself, rush you out of your ambivalence. Complexity is intelligent. Uncertainty in the face of unclear outcomes is wisdom. You're allowed to take this slow, to change your mind multiple times, to need more information before you decide. If they love you genuinely, they'll understand that rebuilding takes time. They'll accept that trust isn't given back in a single conversation. They'll be patient with your process because they understand they're the reason the process is necessary. Principle 5. Involve your community. Don't navigate this alone. Talk to people who know you well, who have your best interests at heart, who will tell you the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Not people who will just tell you what you want to hear, but people who will ask you the hard questions and help you see your blind spots. This might be a therapist, a mentor, close friends, family members, whoever comprises your circle of wisdom. Let them help you process. Let them offer perspective. Let them remind you of things you might forget when you're caught up in emotion. But ultimately, remember that they can advise, but you must decide. They can offer input, but they don't have to live with the outcome. Gather wisdom from others, but make your choice from your own center. Principle 6. Protect your peace above all. This is the most important principle. Your peace is precious. Your healing has been hard-won. Your sense of self has been rebuilt from rubble. Don't sacrifice any of that on the altar of reconciliation, no matter how transformed they seem. If engaging with them disrupts your peace, that's information. If considering their return makes you anxious rather than hopeful, that's information. If you find yourself abandoning your boundaries or reverting to old patterns just from the conversation, that's information. Your peace is the compass. When you're making the right choice for your highest good, even if it's hard, there's a deep sense of alignment underneath the difficulty. You might be scared or uncertain, but you're not fragmented. You're whole, and you're making your decision from that wholeness. If reuniting with them fractures that wholeness, the answer is clear. No matter how much they've changed, no matter how much you love them, no matter what the potential is, if it costs you your peace, it costs too much. Keep watching. We're moving into the final section where I'm going to speak directly to where you go from here. Principle 7. Remember, you're already complete. The greatest danger in reconciliation isn't that they haven't changed. It's that you forget you have. It's that you slip back into needing them to feel whole. It's that you abandon the self-sufficiency you've built and return to dependency. Keep reminding yourself you were okay before they came back. You are okay now. You will be okay whatever you choose. They are not your source of happiness or security or worth. They can enhance your life, but they cannot complete it. You're already complete. From that completeness, you can make clear choices. You can say yes to reconciliation if it serves your growth. You can say no if it doesn't. You can say maybe and take all the time you need to know for sure. But you make all these choices knowing you're whole either way. This is the power of the healing journey. It gives you back yourself. And once you have yourself fully, you don't make desperate choices. You don't settle for crumbs. You don't accept partial love or conditional commitment. You don't negotiate your worth. You simply know what you deserve, and you don't waver from that knowing. Principle 8. Define what reconciliation actually means if you do decide to explore reconnection. Be clear that this isn't about picking up where you left off. The old relationship is dead. It died when they left, when trust was broken, when you both walked through separate fires of transformation. What you're potentially creating is something entirely new. This means new agreements, new communication patterns, new ways of handling conflict, new levels of honesty and vulnerability, new boundaries and new freedoms. You're not restoring the past. You're building a different future with the lessons of the past informing your construction. Be explicit about this with them. We can't go back to what was. If we move forward, it has to be something completely different, built on who we are now, not who we were then. If they understand this and embrace it, that's promising. If they want to just get back together without acknowledging that everything has fundamentally changed, they haven't grasped the magnitude of what happened. Principle 9, establish accountability structures. If you choose reconciliation, don't do it on blind faith alone. Create structures that support genuine change and protect your well-being. This might mean couples therapy as a non-negotiable. It might mean regular check-ins where you both speak honestly about how things are feeling. It might mean transparency measures that help rebuild trust. It might mean involving your community in ways that create healthy accountability. These structures aren't about punishment or control. They're about wisdom. They acknowledge that good intentions aren't enough, that patterns can reassert themselves under stress, that rebuilding trust requires more than just promises. Someone who has truly transformed will welcome accountability because they want to prove their change. Someone who's resistant to structure is someone who wants forgiveness without the work of earning it. If you're seeing how to create a framework for wisdom in this situation, drop equipped in the comments. Principle 10. Give yourself permission to change your mind. Maybe you decide to give reconciliation a try, and 2 months in you realize it's not working. Maybe the changes you thought were permanent start to slip. Maybe you discover that too much damage was done and healing together isn't possible. Maybe you realize that who you've become is incompatible with who they are, even transformed. You're allowed to change your mind. Choosing to try again doesn't mean you're committed forever, regardless of how it unfolds. You can start the journey and decide it's not right. You can be open to reconciliation and then close that door if it becomes clear it's not serving your highest good. This isn't failure. This isn't wasting time. This is honoring yourself enough to keep choosing what's best for you as new information emerges. Someone who genuinely loves you will understand that trust is rebuilt through consistency over time. And if they can't provide that consistency, you're within your rights to walk away again. Principle 11. Watch for genuine remorse versus self-serving regret there. There's a difference between someone who feels bad because they hurt you and someone who feels bad because they're experiencing consequences. Genuine remorse is focused on your pain, your healing, your well-being. Self-serving regret is focused on their discomfort, their loneliness, their desire to stop feeling guilty. Listen to how they talk about what happened. Do they center your experience or their own? Do they ask what you need or tell you what they need? Do they show empathy for what you went through or focus on how hard it's been for them? Do they demonstrate understanding of the specific ways they harmed you or speak in generalities? Genuine remorse sounds like, I know I broke your trust. I know I made you feel unsafe. I know I damaged something precious, and I take full responsibility for that. What do you need from me? Self-serving regret sounds like, I've been so miserable without you. I miss you so much. I can't stop thinking about us. I made a mistake, and I just want things to go back to how they were. One is about you. One is about them. Pay attention to which one you're receiving. Principle 12. Trust the timing finally. Understand that divine timing is real. If this reconciliation is meant to happen, it will happen when both of you are truly ready, not just when one of you wants it. Forced timing creates forced outcomes. Rushed reconciliation often leads to repeated patterns. If you need more time, take it. If they need more time to complete their healing work, let them have it. If the universe seems to be saying, not yet, trust that. Sometimes love is real and right, but the timing is off, and respecting timing is how you protect the potential of what could be. The right thing at the wrong time becomes the wrong thing. The right thing at the right time, when both people are truly ready, becomes the foundation for something beautiful. Don't sacrifice the possibility of beautiful by rushing into good enough. So here we are, at the place where everything I've shared needs to crystallize into clarity for your specific situation. You came to this video because something in you sensed that this person is experiencing a transformation, that they're coming back different than they left. That losing you taught them what real love means. And I'm telling you, you're right. That's exactly what's happening. The shift is real. The awakening has occurred. They understand now what they couldn't understand before. They see you clearly in a way they never did when they had you. They recognize that what you offered was rare and precious and irreplaceable. But here's the final truth I need you to carry with you. Their transformation is beautiful, and it doesn't determine your path. You get to choose. You get to decide. You get to honor your healing, your growth, your wisdom, your boundaries, your peace, and your future. You get to say yes if it feels right in your soul. You get to say no if protecting yourself requires it. You get to say not yet if you need more time. You get to say maybe and gather more information. All of these responses are valid. All of them are available to you. None of them make you hard or cold or unforgiving. None of them make you desperate or weak or foolish. Whatever you choose from your center, from your wholeness, from your highest wisdom, that choice is right for you. Last chance to share where you are in this journey. Drop one word that captures your current state. Let's create a space of support in the comments. I want you to understand something profound. You've already won. Whether they come back or not, whether you reconcile or not, whether this story ends in reunion or release, you've already won. Because you survived what broke you. You healed what hurt you. You became whole when you felt shattered. You learned to love yourself when someone else stopped loving you well. That is the victory. That is the transformation that matters most. Everything else is just details, just decisions, just the next chapter. But the core triumph has already happened in you. You took your pain and turned it into power. You took your loss and turned it into lessons. You took your heartbreak and turned it into healing. Nobody can take that from you. Not even if reconciliation doesn't work out. Not even if they come back and leave again. Not even if you choose to walk away from someone who has changed because you've changed too much to go backward. Your healing is yours. Your growth is yours. Your wholeness is yours. From that place of victory, you can engage with whatever comes next from a position of strength, not weakness. You're not the person who needed them to feel complete. You're not the person who would compromise yourself to keep someone. You're not the person who would accept less than you deserve because you're afraid of being alone. You're the person who knows your worth. You're the person who has boundaries and honors them. You're the person who can hold space for complexity and nuance. You're the person who can love deeply and still choose wisely. If this message has touched your heart or given you clarity you needed, Super Thanks helps me continue creating these specific, nuanced messages for people navigating complex love situations. Grateful for any support. So as you move forward from this moment, carry these truths with you. Their return is not about your worth. You were always worthy. Their transformation is not about your waiting. You were living and healing while they were learning. Their recognition of what they lost is not a reflection on you. You were always valuable. They just couldn't see it clearly until distance gave them perspective. If you choose to explore reconciliation, do it from empowerment, not desperation. Do it with clear boundaries and high standards. Do it with support structures and accountability measures. Do it knowing you can change your mind if it doesn't serve your highest good. Do it as an experiment in possibility, not a desperate grab at the past. If you choose not to reconcile, do it with confidence and peace. Do it knowing that some doors close permanently even when someone knocks again. Do it honoring the fact that you've moved forward and returning backward doesn't honor your journey. Do it trusting that the right person for your future might not be someone from your past. If you choose to take more time, do it without guilt or pressure. Do it understanding that wisdom requires discernment, and discernment requires observation over time. Do it respecting your own pace and your own process. Do it knowing that true love can handle uncertainty and waiting. Whatever you choose, choose it consciously. Choose it deliberately. Choose it from your wholeness, not your wound. Choose it in alignment with your highest good, not your temporary emotion. Choose it knowing that you are complete either way, that you are whole either way, that you are worthy either way. The person who broke you is coming back to heal what they broke. They're returning with new eyes, new understanding, new capacity. They want another chance to love you the way you deserve to be loved the first time. And that's their journey, their hope, their desire, but your journey is your own. And only you can determine whether giving them that chance serves your evolution, honors your healing, and protects your peace. I trust you to know. I trust you to choose wisely. I trust that whatever decision emerges from your deepest wisdom is the right one for you, regardless of what anyone else thinks you should do. You've come so far. You've grown so much. You've transformed your pain into power and your loss into lessons. You've become someone who knows their worth and won't settle for less than genuine love. You've learned what real love means too, and that knowledge will guide you through whatever comes next. The person who's coming back has been taught by losing you. But you've been taught by losing yourself and finding yourself again. That's the more important lesson. That's the one that will serve you for the rest of your life, regardless of whether this person is in it. Stand in your power. Honor your healing. Trust your wisdom. Choose from your wholeness. And know that whatever you decide, you're not alone. You're supported by something greater than yourself, guided by wisdom deeper than your mind, held by love bigger than any one relationship. This is your moment. This is your choice. This is your life. And you, my dear friend, you are more than ready for whatever comes next. If this message spoke to your soul, if it gave you the clarity or validation you needed, leave a comment sharing what resonated most. Let's build a community of people who are learning to choose wisely, love deeply, and honor themselves fully. You are seen. You are valued. You are worthy of love that doesn't break you. Whether that love comes from this person transformed, or from someone new, or most importantly from yourself, you deserve it fully. Walk forward with your head high, your heart protected, and your spirit free. This is not the end of your story. This is just the beginning of the chapter where you get to choose what comes next, from a place of power you never had before. And that, beautiful soul, is everything.